guys, welcome back to my channel. I am super excited to have you embark on me on my first series, which is about JAPA relocation. If I have been collecting some money for every time somebody actually reached out to me, or somebody shared my contact, or somebody spoke to me, chatted me up, if I've been collecting money for every moment or every time that I spent talking about relocation, maybe I should be like counting some thousands or hundreds of dollars, hundred thousands of dollars by now. And that's why, because this is 2026, I don't want to do too many talk, and that is why I'm making this video. So in case you're going to be asking in the future and saying, "Okay, how did you relocate?" I'm just going to refer you to my YouTube channel and say, "Have you watched my video?" So yes, and that's the relocation series that I'm starting. I'm going to be spilling the tea about how I relocated. By the grace of God, I relocated as a permanent resident to Canada. Almost 2 years. It's going to be 2 years very soon. It's going to be 2 years very soon. See how time flies, right? How time flies. And this is going to be a three episode or three episode, or if not more, like minimum of 3 episode series, where I'm going to be talking about how I relocated. And if you plan to relocate to Canada in this year, relocation is part of your family goal for this year, this video is going to be a perfect one for you. I relocated to Canada as a permanent resident, and I relocated with my family. We relocated through the Federal Skilled Workers Program, which is also called the Express Entry. The Express Entry, because I would say that there are different ways you can actually relocate to Canada, and not just Canada, there are different ways of locating everywhere in the country. I don't know so much about US. US relocation is quite very tight now, and I don't even know so much about relocating to UK, United Kingdom. I know they also have some. I mean, like, all of them are actually tightening their own, like they're all like doing like major changes in their immigration process. But don't worry, one thing I always say is that God has a way of making things happen in its own time for you. And that's why, as much as I am pro strategy, pro planning, I'm also pro God. In fact, everybody that I've spoken with that have asked me about relocation to Canada, I always foster them that, see, number one thing is important, which is you need to also seek God's face concerning where He wants you to be, and concerning you to put everything into the hands of God, because sometimes you might feel like it's going to be very fast, like it's going to happen this year, and God's plan might actually not happen this year. And sometimes if you don't pray, like, it might actually cost you like an elongated days, like maybe something that was meant to happen this year, but because you didn't involve God. Because literally, like, you need to know that people don't, people make places, not places doesn't make people. So for the fact that you are in abroad, or for the fact that you leave your country to another country, does not automatically say that you're obviously going to blow or make it big. It's still all about you trusting God. It's still all about God wanting. It's spiritual. It's God, I tell you. So I remember, like, even as far back as my own relocation, myself and my husband, my family. We back from when we were uni, when we started praying and trusting God for the phases of our life. I knew without any iota of doubt that God will have us relocate. And I don't know if I've mentioned a couple of times here, but the thing is that we don't practically know how it's going to work. Like, in my widest thought, I've always thought that maybe I would, because I've been like academic person inclined, I've thought that maybe I would, go for my PhD or go for my master's degree, and I would relocate. But God, in His own infinite mercy, and God also bringing right people, the accurate instruction in part time, and it was true having the right information. We started looking into Canada, and when we were told about it, it looked like, how should this thing be? Like, express entry is financially intensive. Now it's even more expensive now. And that's why I said you need God. You need to have some like certain qualification, like what express entry involves is you need to have your age is very important. your work experience is actually very important. Your Even if you have a sibling, it's also very important because it's a point-based system. Basically, it's a very transparent system. That's what I usually tell people. Like, it's very transparent system. It's points-based. You need to have certain qualifications, like you need to have certain degrees, like master's degree. You need to also be like you need to like be less than 30. You need to have some work experience. You need to have valid experience and all of that. But one thing is that as much as I am like, you need to have all of these things, I'm also of the opinion that God has a way of doing things. Like for hers, particularly my own, I was a primary applicant, because you have primary applicant, you have your dependents, and primary applicant is nothing like something about qualification. Like myself and my husband, we have master's degree, but was more about age, because if you're less than 30, you have higher chance of relocating to Canada, like the express entry profile, the one that I relocated through. So I was less than 30 then, and it was just smarter for us, because if you are more than 30, you're going to have like, for every time, like for example, if you are 30 this year, if you are going to be 31, you're going to be losing like 5 points every month. Like, it's points based, right? Even so, it was just the easiest, was just the smartest decision for us at that point. And also we had a family member here as well, which also gave us an additional point. But you know what, in spite of all of these things, I have seen people that they've defied all of my own credentials. They were more than 30, they don't have master's degree, they don't have siblings here in Canada, and they still came through the express entry program. In fact, by the time we relocated at with a CRS score of 486, which is really high, even though by now I'm hearing that it's about 500 now that they're picking, which shows that you need to have a higher qualification. But at the same time, I'm still saying that when God has arrived, he has arrived. In fact, I'm going to say that even though I'm talking about myself, but I'm talking about, even though I'm saying but in the context of my family, like me relocating to Canada, it's actually by God's grace, because the moment, like, you need to take an exam, which is the English proficiency exam, the IELTS or the SLP, or why I took IELTS. My IELTS was expiring in 2 weeks when we got our IT. In fact, at the point that my IELTS was almost expiring and they haven't given us any ITA is invitation to apply, I already started telling myself that maybe we need to go and write another IELTS. And I was so like, IELTS, because we had been in the pool since 2021, and what makes you valid in the pool is your IELTS, and your IELTS actually expires every 2 years. So if your IELTS expires, you're no longer valid, or you're no longer eligible to be in the pool. You get what I mean? So it was just that was for us. It was almost 2 years. The highest expiring when we go on IT. And also at the point that we're going to even get an IT, before that time, even though literally 486 that we had was a little bit very high, but IRCC, which is the governing body for the immigration thing, we're picking 500. In fact, I think at that point we're even picking as high as 550, 530, and you were like, when will they get our turn? When will they get to 486? And before you know it, even when it was the shortest time that it was almost expiring, God decided to do this thing. But one thing that stood us up throughout the entire process was that we were continually praying, we continually stood our ground, we continually confessed God's word. And that's what I'm saying, is that before you even start thinking about all the requirements, which is what I'm going to be talking about in the next episode, is you need to seek the face of God for your family and say that, what will God have us do? Because it might not be Canada. Even though literally it looks like Canada is one of the easiest ways to go now, it has a promising future. Like if you relocate to Canada within 3 years, you should be a citizen. Like, if you relocate as a permanent resident, Canada has a lot of social benefits that help people that are coming from developed countries, or developing country, to get stable, because I was earning naira. I'm from Nigeria. I was earning naira, and you moving to Canada where they earn in dollars, like a lot of social benefits or grant that makes you stable before we eventually settled in. So I would say that the seeking the face of God is very, very important before you even like start doing all the permutation and combination. And that's what I wanted to tell you in this video and say, before you think about JAPA, you need to pray, because there are a lot of challenges. I'm not even going to lie. Like I said, ours take a while, and it was almost like the kotato. You know when they say kotato, it was almost like it was time that I don't even know it was happening or not. That was when our eventually clicked and God carried us, and the whole process was seamless. Because, and I'm still very grateful to God that He actually took that time, because it made us have opportunity to save a lot of money. And I didn't even talk about the other challenge of the fact that I had to write IELTS more than once. I wrote it first time, second time, third time, you know, before I actually had the perfect score that gave me us the perfect score that we were wanting. So there were a lot of challenges along the line. I mean, it's not the easiest to write exam again and again, like the financial involvement and all of that, you know, and also the fact that it gave us ample time to actually save. We're able to save. Another thing is that, I mean, I had my second child, my daughter, before we relocated, so it was a perfect decision. Like everything, that's I said that when God is in the journey, everything eventually makes sense. Like the delay eventually makes sense. Like I am very grateful to God that it took that while. Yeah, I tell you, because I just knew that it was God's perfect time. And that's why I'm encouraging with this video and say that before you start doing all your permutation and combination, pray about it, see God's face about it. And in the journey of life, like even though, like for example, even though we got an IT at 486. I've seen people that got the IT at 300. I've seen people that got the IT at even way lower score than we had. So don't even let that 500 scare you, or whatever you are seeing in the news about the IT thing. Don't let it scare you at all. You just focus on you trusting God, praying about it. And in the next episode, I'm going to be sharing the document and all you need to do if you plan to JAPA or if you plan to relocate in 2026. Bye guys. Don't forget to subscribe. Don't forget to like. And don't forget to also share with somebody that actually plans to relocate in 2026. Bye.